Hey guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo. I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available Halloween 2025, the album. Dad, shimmy, shimmy. Did you do the shimmies? You didn't do the shimmies? Shimmy to the left and we shimmy to the right. Hey, little thing, let me light your candle, cause I'm sure hard to handle now. Yes, I am. Gucci, Louis. Alright, let's just get into this video today. What songs do y'all want me to sing? Put what songs you want me to sing for my intro in the comment section below. I'm taking requests. I am the DJ, okay? Are you on the guest list? You're all on the guest list. If I was DJing someplace, you would all be on the guest list, okay? Now, we're fading out of drama class, okay? We've all graduated from drama class, and we're now going into the club, okay? We're going into the club. We've graduated from drama class, and we're going to hang out in the club. I used to love to hang out at the club. I can remember back in the day, on a Friday or a Saturday, or a Sunday, or a Tuesday, or a Wednesday. Weekends really did start for me, though, like on a Wednesday. On Wednesday nights, I can remember back in the day, we would go out to drag shows. There was like 3 drag bars in Indianapolis that we would go to on Wednesday nights. And Thursday was another night. And then Friday was this. And Saturday was that. It was so much fun. Oh my God, back in the day. I would go out to clubs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I remember back in the day, this is what like the summer looked for me. Okay, and the summer was that. My friends and I, we would like lay out by the pool all day long, you know, and like get suntans and things like that because you wanted to look, you know, you wanted to look ripe. You wanted to look ripe so you could find Mr. Right Now. I was always kind of looking, my friends were looking for Mr. Right Now. I was looking for like Mr. Right Now forever. Like, we're going to be together forever. Every person I ever dated, I thought I was going to be with forever. Except for my husband. That's so weird, isn't it? That is so weird. Every person I dated before my husband, I literally thought that I would be with forever. And then I met my husband. If you guys don't know this story, I met my husband. I asked him out, and then he was still interested in his ex, and so I was like, okay, best of luck to you in your life, and then 6 months later, he reached out to me. At that point, I had made the decision to move from Indianapolis to Denver. I was like, hey, listen, one of my dear friends lives in Denver. I'd already picked out where I was going to live in Denver. I wanted to live in Lodo. I was so excited about it. I was like, I'm going. I had told everybody here in town. I told my dad and my stepmom. I told my aunt that when she was still alive, and my cousin Caroline, and my best friend Tanya Jean. I was moving. And then I had actually canceled the date because, so then Alex reached out to me and he said, hey, when are you going to take me out on this date? Which I had asked him in April. This is August now, okay? He said, when are you going to take me out on this date? And I said, oh, are you over your ex? And he said, yeah. And so we scheduled this date. But I actually canceled on him twice before we went on the date. And I remember I just was like, what's the point? Like, what's the point going on this date? I mean, you know, like, it's not like there's going to be anything that's going to come of it. And, you know, whatever. And I remember calling my friend that lived in Denver because that summer I had gone out and like every other week I was going out to Denver and I was visiting him. And so I remember I called him and I said, you know, I'm supposed to go on this date with this guy and I don't really want to, you know, it's like pointless and whatever. And he was like, well, he's like, worst case scenario. He's like, you have a good time, you know, whatever. And he's like, you know, and then he's like, in best case scenario, like, you know, you make a good friend that when you come back to Indianapolis, you can like, you know, hang out and whatever. And I was like, okay. And so we went on this date and I remember like when I picked him up at his friend's house downtown, he like walked in front of me and he like did this cute little wave and I was like, oh my God, he is so cute. I am so screwed. And then I remember we went that night, we went that night to this restaurant that doesn't even exist anymore in Indiana, this Italian restaurant, and Bravo. It was called, it's a chain restaurant. We went to Bravo and we just sat there and talked and, you know, I mean, it's been... what was that, 2008? I don't know. I mean, 17 years later, we're still together. We've been married, you know, over 13 years. And neither one of us that, like, wanted to be in a serious relationship. I mean, that was one of the things we talked about in our first conversation at dinner. Like, neither one of us wanted to be in a serious relationship whatsoever. And it just kind of unfolded. That is so strange that I thought about that. Like, every other guy before that... So when people ask me for, you know, relationship advice, go into it like you don't want it to last, I guess. I mean, it's so, you know, I say this a lot on my vlog. I actually talk about this on my vlog a lot. It's kind of interesting because, you know, when we first started, like, you know, dating and hanging out and stuff like that, we were hanging out with probably 10 or 15 other couples in Indianapolis, and we were kind of like part of this group that went out all the time downtown to Indianapolis and stuff like that. And, you know, the majority of those, except for like 2 other couples now, the majority of those couples have been like married, had kids, divorced 3 times, had kids in 3 different, I mean, they've been like divorced, moved to other places, moved back. And it's like us and 2 other couples that are still together. And we were all on each other's weddings, by the way, too. I think that might be something, there might be some magic to that as well. But it's crazy to think that, you know, that 17 years later, here we are. But I couldn't be prouder of my husband, and I couldn't be prouder of our marriage. And I love love. Don't you love to be in love? So anyway, okay, let's get into this video. Now, I have a few announcements I need to make before I get in this video. First of all, the other day when I showed this in my Peter Does stuff, so I did a PO unboxing. So people send stuff to my PO box all the time, and I show it in videos because I think it's so nice that people send me stuff. And somebody crocheted this for me the other day. So they were trying to kind of like do something very similar to what my friend Mel. So my friend Mel, that's my book club partner. Hey Mel, how are you? Big announcement coming in April about the True Crime Book Club. A lot of changes coming to the True Crime Book Club. Those announcements are coming in April. But when our dog Pee-Pee, if you guys remember Pee-Pee, the little chihuahua from back in the day, passed away, Mel is a huge crocheter. And so she crocheted us this little Pee-Pee, the flying chihuahua, and he's got little angel wings on him. So somebody sent me this, and this is so sweet, okay, so they were like trying to do something very similar to that, but they did Boo Radley. But when I showed it in the video, I showed it upside down. And so at night, I had it sitting here, and I like looked at it, and I was showing to Alex, and Alex got all teary-eyed, and I was like, it really does look like Boo Radley. Oh my God. He goes, yeah, he's like, there's no brown in it, but other than that, he really does look like Boo Radley. So they crocheted me, and I can't remember who did it now, and I feel really bad, but if you go watch my Peter Does Stuff video, I read the letter and everything about it. So Boo Radley had this little purple bed that somebody sent us, and he would sleep in it. He loved this little purple bed. We still can't get rid of it. I'll probably keep it forever. But they crocheted us this little Boo Radley purple bed, and then a little Boo Radley to sit in the little purple bed. Is that not the sweetest thing in the whole entire world? And it kind of does look like Boo Radley, and look, he just sleeps in his little purple bed. So I wanted to show that on here today, because I love that so much. And, but also, people are so nice. I just want to say, you know, I was talking about this in my vlog the other night, I think it was last night. I feel like, you know, I try to say this in cameos. If you don't know what cameos are little messages that people like book from me that you can, it's listed below if you want to. You don't have to. But that people book from me for like weddings, pep talks, bachelorette, bridal showers, birthdays is like the big thing, holidays and stuff like that. And, you know, I try to say this in my cameos, and I try to say it in videos too, but like, I get to get up every single day and do something that I love. I mean, that alone is unbelievable. To get up every day and do something that I love. And then on top of that, to be able to work from home, to have so many people that are so kind. You guys are so kind and so supportive of not just me, but my husband. I mean, people send like just the nicest messages to him. My cousin Caroline, Tanya, our whole family. I just announced recently that our nephew was born. Our 3rd nephew was born. So I was just announcing that in my vlog, and people were so nice and so supportive and sending so much love. I got so many Instagram DMs that people were like, you know, tell your brother and sister-in-law this, and tell your brother and sister-in-law that. And I don't know, I just feel like it's the coolest thing. You know, the majority of my life, I have felt like I was on the outside looking in, even in close friend groups that I had. And then to come on YouTube, somebody asked me this question, we're going to get to this in a second. Somebody asked me this question about being your most authentic self without being silly and weird. I think that part of it, and I was actually talking about this in my vlog, so I do a daily vlog every day if you didn't know. It's called Peter Vlogs. Somebody was walking by the street yesterday when I was doing it, and they said, are you doing a podcast? I was so embarrassed. If you want to see what I'm like, if you come up to me in public, go watch my vlog from yesterday. It's like in the first 10 minutes. This guy is walking down the street with his wife, and they're pushing their baby, and he says, are you doing a podcast? And I said, no, I'm like doing a vlog on YouTube or something like that. I got so embarrassed, you guys. He's like, well, tell everybody I said that we said hi, or shout us out, or something like that. I got so embarrassed. So anyway, but you know, I was talking about this on there about like being yourself and whatever. I, for so much of my life, never felt comfortable being myself. Like, I worked overtime to make other people more comfortable, and so I dulled myself down. I muted myself. I didn't allow myself to step into who I really was, because I wanted people around me to like me, to be comfortable. So I dulled myself down a lot for that, and I missed out on a lot of life. I don't know if there is a way, and if I get to the question, I'll read it. You know what? I should actually just look it up right now, but I'm not going to stop this to get into it. But they said, you know, how do you be your most authentic self without feeling silly and weird? I don't know that there is a way to do that. YouTube has allowed me, like, I'm not all the time, like, you know, obviously off a camera being like, hey, beast, beast. I mean, people every once in a while be like, can you say beast when I'm like out to dinner? I'm like, please don't, please don't, you know, but I will, I'll be like, beast, you know, whatever, they get a kick out of it. But anyway, it's usually like, Alex's girlfriend's boyfriends will be like, oh my God, they'll be like, his girlfriends will be like, my boyfriend watches all of your videos. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, he doesn't even know who you're talking about, but he just loves your personality and saying beast. So then when we're out to dinner, they'll be like, can you say beast? I'll be like, beast. They just get like such a kick out of it. I don't know that there is a way to be your most authentic, genuine self. And I don't know that I'm still even there yet. I feel like I'm working on it, you know, every day without feeling silly and weird. I think that YouTube has offered me the space to feel silly and weird. And yes, I've gotten a lot of criticism for it, but at the same time, I've gotten so much love and kindness for it as well. I was just talking about this in my vlog yesterday. The amount of people that encourage me to be myself every day. Keep being yourself, you know? For so long, I felt like I couldn't be myself. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me a space to do something that I love and call it a job, and it pays my bills. And on top of that, you know, to be able to be myself and have fun on whatever channel that I'm doing that on. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for that. So I wanted to say that. The other thing I wanted to say is, so people ask me a lot why I only wear the same hat. Like before the icon hat was stolen, I wore the icon hat. I actually have 3 other icon hats. So those will probably be making a return here sometime this summer. But I have to kind of work a hat to the point where it like fits my head the way that I want it to fit. And then once I do, if you wear like trucker hats or baseball hats, you'll know what I'm talking about a lot, because it kind of takes some time to get the hat to fit your head. So the 2 hats that I'm currently working on right now are this Hotel Beverly Hills hat. I'm kind of working on this right now because it's corduroy, and I love a good corduroy hat. But you can see how the top is kind of big, so it's going to take me a little while to work that in. And then the Avett Brothers hat that I got. I'm a big Avett Brothers fan, and so I'm kind of like working on this. I had it a little bit tighter, and then it looked too tight, and so I'm kind of working on this. But you can see, like, do you see how this hat fits versus how this hat fits? It's completely different. But this hat, by the summer, it'll look like this. But you can see I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Okay, so just wanted to give you a little announcement that some hats are coming up. I have like 5 other hats I'm trying to work on at the same time too. So, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Okay, I didn't even know. Today was Cousin Fun Day. I ran around and ran errands with my cousin Caroline. Came home, I did a haul on my Peter Does Stuff channel. I did a review on my review channel. And I was like, I don't even know that I'm going to film over on my drama channel today. But yesterday, on my Instagram, I had put up 2 different questions. Or maybe I think it was the day before. I put up 2 different questions. And so I was like, to maybe turn them into videos. I just kind of put this stuff out there. Sometimes I don't turn them into videos, and sometimes I do. But I got so many responses from these two things. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do a video on one of these today. So the first question, well, the question that I'm going to address today was ask me a question about anything or my opinion on something, and I'll make that video too. So I'm going to do an opinions video today, probably an unpopular opinions video. But the first thing I said was, give me a song. Here it is. Give me a song. So if you're not following my Instagram, you're not going to be part of video. So you need to follow my Instagram and watch my stories, because that's where I ask all the questions. I ain't on the other places, okay? Give me a song, a movie, a TV show, a nostalgic toy, or anything from the past 50 years, and I'm going to make a video with a story just based off that one thing. Go. Okay, first of all, the amount of people that sent me, I mean, it was probably 20 people that asked me to comment about Furbies. Okay, so I actually looked it up. Furbies came out in 1998. I was 26 years old, okay? I had a full career at that time, was going to meetings, I was in a relationship. I do not remember the evolution of the Furby, okay? I don't care about the evolution of the Furby. So we will not be bringing the evolution of the Furby, or what I thought. I don't even know. I mean, I know I've seen commercials of the Furby and things like that, but obviously that was a bigger thing to people that were maybe a little younger than me, because I don't really, at my age, I'm 52 years old, I don't really remember a lot about the Furby, but I did not realize that the Furby was such a big deal. And it's so funny when I do questions like this, you can instantly tell what people are really interested in. You can instantly tell, okay? For example, so today I'm going to do this unpopular opinions video where I said, or asked me a question about anything or my opinion on something. So there are so many, okay, two topics that people have really, really wanted me to comment on, and this one on here is the last couple days, but I would say in the last 2 weeks, okay, is that so many people have wanted me to talk about the Rosanna Pansino, Tana Mojo, Joey Graceffa, Trisha Paytas, Rosanna Pansino, and then Adam McIntyre responding to all of it, okay? So a lot of people have asked me to talk about that. Here's the thing, okay? Originally, I was like, I have it on my list of videos to do. I was like, I gotta watch Rosanna Pansino's podcast, because if I miss even a second of it, people will be like, well, you didn't watch the whole podcast, so you didn't hear her say this. So I was like, I've got to watch Rosanna Pansino's podcast. I have to watch Trisha Paytas' podcast, where she addresses it. I have to watch Tana Mojo talking about it. I have to watch what, Joey Graceffa says to Trisha Paytas about it. And then people were like, you need to watch Adam's videos. Then somebody commented on my video, and they said, honestly, this was my video where I talked about it the other day. They said, honestly, just watch Adam's 3 videos covering it, and then you'll probably find that there's not really anything new that you want to add to it anymore. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to watch a 2-hour podcast of Trisha Paytas, an hour-and-a-half podcast of Rosanna Pansino, Tana Mojo's podcast, and 3 videos of Adam McIntyre, which that I would enjoy. But I was like, okay, for what? To have an opinion about this? Like, I don't care that deeply, okay? I really just don't care that deeply about it. And so I don't really have an opinion on it. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't even really looked into it that deeply. I've seen what people have said, I've watched the clips, but I don't feel that knowledgeable about it to have an opinion about it. And I feel like it's more of a serious topic, that I feel like if I'm going to speak on it, I should have a more serious topic, or a more serious, if I'm going to speak on a serious topic like that, I feel like I should be a little bit more in the know about it, That being said, the next topic that people, I literally, when I put this up, I probably got 30 comments about this. People are wanting me to talk about, hold on a second, let me see where it's kind of like, how it's phased. Hila and Ethan Klein, talking about Trisha Paytas, and then thoughts on Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas, and talking about Adam McIntyre and Ethan Klein and Hila. And so this whole scandal that has gone on with Ethan Klein, Hila Klein, Trisha Paytas, and Adam McIntyre. But really now, it's about Ethan and Hila Klein and Adam McIntyre. So I have kept up, honest to God, on about 10% of it. I've seen some of it go on online. I don't really understand a lot about it. I would say for like the last 6 months, a lot of people have sent me direct messages wanting me to talk about Ethan Klein. I don't know enough about that whole situation with Ethan Klein. Another serious topic to respond to, okay? For me, and I will put this kind of in the realm of like James Charles situations. They're not the same allegations, obviously. But when I've talked about James Charles situations, or Colleen Ballinger situations, or situations that have to do with those kinds of things, or even recently in talking about issues that Raw Beauty Christie won't address, I feel like I'm at least somewhat well-versed in those topics and know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get in a video for views and add nonsensical information to a conversation that I think is pretty important to have. So I think it would probably be best if I stayed out of that conversation. I just want to say that. If you guys want to put your thoughts about any of those issues, whether it has to do with Tana and Rosanna, or Tana, and I'll be honest with you, when I'm looking at it, my stomach sinks. This is the problem, okay? Is that I've said this for years and years and years. I don't love talking about dark subjects, but I think that it's important to talk about dark topics. There's obviously 1,000,001 dark topics to talk about, right? And so when I'm looking at all this stuff, and I do think that maybe I should offer my opinion, I don't want to offer an opinion and then get in a video and then somebody say, well, you didn't see this, so you don't know about that, and then that changes my opinion. And then I have to turn around and get in a video, which I've done in the past, and say, well, I didn't realize this, so I changed my opinion. So I think it would just be best on these situations if I just stayed out of it. If you guys want to put in the comment section below what your feelings and your opinions are about it, let me know. If you think this is going to be an ongoing thing, this is the one thing I have thought about, is that I feel like some of this stuff will be an ongoing thing that maybe I do need to kind of catch up and watch it. In that case, I will be if you think that that's what I need to do, I will listen to you and take lead from you. If you really think that, then I will watch all the stuff that's going on and then get caught up with it. I will do an opinion video about it, and then going forward, I will continue to cover it. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. So I wanted to address those things first because those are kind of like the serious issues that I was asked about by a lot of people. Whenever I do like an opinion video or like what do you guys want to hear about, I can tell instantly, okay, what the topics are that people want to hear about. And the 3 topics that people asked me the most about were the Trisha and Tana, well, the Tana Rosanna Pansino situation, the Hila Klein and Ethan Klein and Adam McIntyre situation, and then Michaela Nogueira's brand drop, which I did my video about yesterday, and didn't a whole lot of people seem to care about that. So those are the things that people are really wanting me to talk about. I feel weird about talking about something and offering an opinion that I don't know that much about. And that's how I've always done it from the beginning, and I think that has led me well. I don't want to add information and be negligent on a situation that I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know the full story, and I think it is important to know the full story in situations like that. So, okay, so those are the serious topics that people wanted me to cover. Or am I out on time? Okay, so let's get in here and I will answer your opinions about what you guys wanted to know other than those things, okay? And some of the things do have to do with influencer topics. Hold on, like somebody asked me, I'll just get to the hot topics right away. I mean, the hot topics that I think are maybe hot topics. Like somebody said, what are my thoughts on Gorlworld? Well, my understanding of Gorlworld is that that's Amberlynn Reid, right? Is Gorlworld? Am I wrong about that? I feel like that's what Gorlworld is. Okay. What do I think about the world of Amberlynn Reid? I've actually, to be honest with you, I've thought at times about going like full throttle. Amberlynn Reid is very similar to me as me doing Sister Wives coverage on my Peter Watches TV channel, okay? That I am, okay, when I started covering Amberlynn Reid back in the day, I actually was probably one of the first people that ever made a video about her back in the day. I mean, there were like 2 or 3, Zachary Michael was around already. There were like maybe 2 or 3 commentary channels that were doing exclusive videos about Amberlynn Reid. But I was maybe one of the first people. And I made one video about her, and then like 2 months later, I made another one, and then I was kind of out. I did talk to Amberlynn back in the day. The thing is that Amberlynn is not stupid, okay? I mean, Amberlynn knows what's going on. She does. She knows what's going on. She knows how to work things. When I realized, and I would read comments in the comment sections, and like 98% of them were just like so coming hard for Amberlynn. And then the other 2% would be like, you guys are so cruel to Amberlynn. You guys are so mean to Amber. Why are you so mean to Amber? This and that, whatever. And then when I would talk to her and I would reach out to her and stuff like that, and I realized she very much understood what was going on, and she was feeding into the trolls. You know, she is somebody that loves Trisha Paytas. She has said that to me multiple times. She said that back in the day. She loves Trisha Paytas. I think Amberlynn modeled her channel after the trolling days of Trisha Paytas. And so I think she thought, if I'm going to get a bunch of hate and shit anyway, I'm going to lean into it and I'm going to make $1 off of it. And I think that's what she does. Some video of hers came up the other day for me, and it was like her torrid haul videos. If you go back and you watch Amberlynn, like her first couple years online, which is when I caught her, she would do these torrid hauls. She would do, I can remember when her and Becky, I guess it was, anyway, Destiny, who was first? I don't even remember. I think it was Destiny was first, wasn't it? Anyway, they're sitting there talking about going to work in this factory, and they're talking about how they're going to pack their lunches. The torrid hauls, they like, at first, the torrid hauls were real. Like, she was going and buying this stuff, and she would mistake it and be like, oh, this is a really cute dress or shirt, and it would be a dress. Like, she was making, like, she didn't know. But then, when people started catching into it, she leaned into it. You know, when she would say things to, like, whoever it was, I think it was Destiny or whoever, at that time, like, you can't take a soda to the factory, and, you know, she would say all this stuff about her, and some of the food stuff that she would do, like, at first, like, when I did my very first video, and I said, you know that kitchen smells like day-old stew, people still comment on that, my video today. But, like, she wasn't, I don't think at that time she was really trying to troll that hard. I could be wrong. But what really bothered me was when she leaned into it. And it wasn't so much that she was leaning into the trolling. A lot of YouTubers do that. It was the fact that she was compromising her health by leaning into the trolling and saying, like, I'm going to do 100 days of weigh-ins, and then by day 2, she was done. Or I'm going to do this diet, or I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, right? Like, and then, but she was, I mean, we're talking about somebody that is the same weight almost that Tammy Slayton was on 1,000 Pound Sisters when they were talking about you will die if you do not lose the weight, and she couldn't even walk around. At the same time that Amberlynn is talking about her workout regimen in her living room, and sometimes this is my workout. I'll take 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and then I'm exhausted. And I'm like, are you trolling or is this real? Because if this is real, then this is scary. And like, you're a human being and I care about human beings, you know? And so it's not just, I cannot watch stuff like that from like a hate watching point of view. I don't understand it. I think if you're going to do commentary on it, it has to be fair. I think it has to be, you know, the thing is, she gets so mad about these commentary channels, but what do you expect, Amber? Like, you put a lot of this shit out there, and they know it, and you're doing it to troll, and that's the thing. If you go back and you watch her videos, her first videos, she wasn't trolling. People started criticizing her for stuff that she was just sharing parts of her world, you know? Listen, I understand that. I mean, I shared stuff and said I was going to do stuff and didn't follow through and whatever, so I get it. But then it's like, but then you lean into it and you do it like 100 times more to make it so that then you really truly are trolling. So that's what I think of Gorlworld. I think there was a time when I talked to Jaclyn and I said, I'm thinking about maybe doing Amberlynn content, you know? And he just kind of laughed. And, Zachary is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life, by the way. Such a supportive friend. Very thoughtful, very smart. And I said to him, I said, I would kind of like, I'm kind of interested in doing this. This is what I was trying to, but I don't have it in me to watch every live stream, every video. I can watch like 1 or 2 and then I'm kind of out. And that's what I think about Gorlworld. So, I don't know. I might do a video sometime. The other thing is, if I do a video today on Amberlynn Reid, there are so many commentary channels now that are covering her and Foodie Beauty and these other people, Chantal, Foodie Beauty, that if you miss one thing from like March of 2023 or something and you get it wrong, they're like, well, did you not know this? So you have to be somebody that keeps up with that stuff. I don't know. I don't keep up with it that closely to know, you know, like I do with Sister Wives. Here it is, Furby. Somebody said on the wrong question. Okay. Somebody said, what was your favorite vacation with your dad growing up? My favorite vacation with my dad growing up. So when I was growing up, like my dad as a surgeon that was on call a lot had a hard time getting time off. So if he took time off, he took long periods of time off. My favorite trip that I ever went on, I went on a lot of amazing trips. I'm so thankful to my dad and my stepmom. We took amazing trips. My favorite trip that we ever went on was probably to St. Martin, and we stayed at a resort that was then owned by the wife of the tennis player Pete Sampras, and it was called La Semana. And then we also went to St. Bart's. And St. Bart's, I know today it's very touristy and trendy, but back then it was not. It was like they had like 5 German hotels on the island, and it was unbelievable. It was absolutely gorgeous. We took a catamaran over there. That's probably the favorite trip that I've ever taken with my dad. I mean, we did a lot of weekends in Chicago and stuff like that, and all those weekends. My dad had a sailboat in Saugatuck, Michigan, and so, which is funny because it was such a towny town back then, and now it's kind of known as like the gay Providence of the Midwest. It definitely wasn't back then. And so like those weekends with my dad on the boat in Michigan, and my dad's business partner had a boat up there too. And so those summers just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, those weren't necessarily trips, but those weekends up there of sleeping on the sailboat and being on the lake and stuff like that. I don't know. They were magical summers. They really were. So, okay, next question. Where am I at on time? This is going to stop in a minute and a half, so let me stop it now. Pause. Okay. I thought maybe I'd just do a quick 20-minute video, but let's get into this a little bit. Do you think that Jeffree and Nathan were real? So, Jeffree Star and Nathan Schwandt. Do I think that their relationship was real? Allegedly, what do I really think? I mean, I've heard a lot of different things behind the scenes. This is the thing. I've heard enough consistent things about the ending of the relationship that I think those consistent things have to be true. What I think happened was this. I think that, I don't know who reached out to who first. I don't know if it was Jeffree Star that reached out to Nathan or Nathan reached out to Jeffree Star. My gut tells me it was Jeffree Star reached out to Nathan, saw his picture come out. I don't know if he's ever told this, but I don't think 80% of what Jeffree Star says is a complete lie and has no basis in truth whatsoever. So when people say, well, he already said this, well, you don't know if that's true or not. I just want to make this very clear when I say this, and people want to say, well, you're a hater. When Jeffree and Nathan were together, I really liked that relationship. I thought it brought out a very endearing part of Jeffree Star, a very human part of Jeffree Star. I think we saw through Nathan a little bit. I don't know how that relationship started. I do believe that the relationship started out of a contract. Karina Kaboom back in the day, when she was still doing drama, she does Amberlynn Reid content now, but she would always talk about this alleged contract, right? I don't think she really knew anything. I think she was just speculating, but I really do think there was some kind of contract, some kind of business contract written up. But, you know, they were together like 5 years, right? I think that over time what happened was, I think they grew closer. I think they became friends. I think, you know, if you were forced to live in the same space with somebody for 5 years and act like you guys, I mean, we've seen movies like this. We've seen movies where people are supposed to be faking it and then it ends up they fall in love. I think Jeffree Star fell in love with Nathan Schwandt. I think Nathan Schwandt cared about Jeffree Star. I don't think that he was ever in love with him. Because of how it all fell out. And then there literally was like, he was like, cheating on Jeffree with this woman, and then he and this woman moved back to Grand Rapids and lived in the house that Jeffree bought. He still lives in that house. He doesn't really work or do anything. He started a merch line for a little bit, but it failed a little bit. I mean, he doesn't do anything. I don't know if he owns like cannabis shops or whatever. I think he and Jeffree did some businesses together that in the breakup, I think contractually he probably got some of those businesses. I do know that there was some, like, or I've heard allegedly that there was some arguing over cars and houses and things like that. And that basically Jeffree just kind of was like, here, take it. Like, I'm done. Like, and out. I think Jeffree really was hurt at the end because I think that he had fallen in love with Nathan. I don't think it started off that way. I think it started off as, this will be funny, this will be ha-ha, you know, whatever. I don't think that he expected it to last as long as it did, and I think that once he put Nathan on camera, you know, Nathan is very charismatic. He's a good-looking guy. He was a sweet guy with Jeffree, and so I think that Jeffree didn't really realize that when he was putting him on camera that he, like, what the audience was going to see, and the audience fell in love with Nathan, I think just the way that Jeffree did. And so then he's dressing him up in Gucci and Supreme and Louis Vuitton, and he's making him, you know, even better looking than he already is, and he's skating and he's working out, and Jeffree's running this business, and it's like this family that they're growing with these dogs, and I think people fell in love with that. And I think Jeffree fell in love with that. And I think that Nathan probably really cared a lot about Jeffree. I really do believe that. I don't think that you could be that close with somebody and not care. But I don't know that he was in love with him. And I think that that's what really was hurt by Jeffree. I think when Jeffree gets on camera and says the love of my life, I think that's true. I think that that is absolutely true. I think that's why we see a lot of hinting out about people in my DMs and this and that he says, that I'm meeting with this guy, whatever. I think he is hoping to have another Nathan Schwandt down the road. I think that's what he's hoping for. I do know, and I said this years and years, I've said this in so many videos, that back in the day when I did talk to James Charles, I said to James, I said something about, like, you doing all this stuff is very problematic, James. And I said, it's almost kind of like you're trying to, you want what Jeffree Star has. Like, Jeffree Star met this guy that had never been with a man before, and you want what Jeffree has. He goes, that's exactly what I want. Jeffree Star modeled for James Charles. I think it's interesting, you know, I think that Nathan came out later and said he was pansexual or something. I don't know how he identifies, but I think that it's interesting that Jeffree Star was talking about sleeping with straight men on the DL and talking to straight men and all this kind of stuff, that he never gets criticized for and I've said this in many videos when I've held other people accountable for it. I think it's interesting that Jeffree Star is not held to the same standard for sleeping with, and even saying it. He said it himself about sleeping with straight men. I mean, nobody's forcing these men that we're aware of, right? But it's interesting that he says all that kind of stuff. I don't know, you know, like, I think it also gives a really, like, this is why this issue is such a huge issue to me with the whole, like, straight fantasy thing, is that when Jeffree Star gets in a video and talks about, like, I just watched this thing of him the other day, and he was like, your men are leaving you because 85% of men out there are on the DL. 85% of men will sleep with another man. 85% of men will let a man suck their dick, and blah, 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 whatever. I don't believe that to be true. I just don't, okay? In my 52 years of experience, I've been around the block. You know, I've been my fair share in straight bars, straight situations, probably more now than gay ones. And that has just not been my experience with me and other people that I know. I am so entirely grateful for my straight male allies that I have, that have never felt uncomfortable around me or my husband or my friends or anything. I think that when you take it to that kind of sexual place and you say, women, your men are leaving you because they're on the DL, I think that's kind of an 1985 mentality on Oprah Winfrey's show of like men on the DL. Do I think there are men on the DL, the down low? Absolutely, 100%. I've met them. I absolutely have met them. I met men that were on the DL and then later came out at my age, you know? And I can't even imagine what that would be like. But for me, it's very much like this. And I also kind of wonder, in all honesty, like what's going on that these men are sleeping with you? Like, I mean, first of all, I think this is the thing that we don't talk about, right? Like, if a man is straight presenting or whatever, okay, as a rap star, as a basketball player or whatever, and he's dipping into your DMs and you're sleeping with him, that man is not straight, okay? That is not the definition of heterosexuality. So then that means that that man is, you know, I don't know, possibly pansexual, bisexual, possibly gay. And then you're indirectly outing these people. Like, I don't know. And so it's like, it's interesting to me that Jeffree never gets kind of like that criticism for it, you know, that people don't clock that. It's because Jeffree Star does so many outrageous things that we don't care that he feeds into the whole straight fantasy that we've had to fight for the last 200 years as gay men, as lesbians, especially as bisexual people that have to fight that on a daily basis because people don't want to even understand, you know, what pansexuality or you know, or asexuality, and what that, nobody even really wants to understand what that is whatsoever, you know, or bisexuality or pansexuality. It's like, well, nobody wants to know what those words mean. So we're just going to put them over here. Well, Jeffree is confusing all of that for people. And so when he comes out and he says this stuff, I mean, this is where it's very interesting to me that he says, I don't believe in this, but then he paints this picture of this. So what you're painting a picture of, okay, is actually very problematic to the LGBTQI plus community. Because what you're saying is that we're a secret to a lot of people, okay? Well, baby, I ain't nobody's fucking secret today at all. Period, end of story, okay? You want to be somebody's secret? That's on you, all right? You want to out somebody indirectly? That's on you. But I have known people in my life that have been outed and did not ask to be outed, and people insinuated things about them, and they hurt themselves. I think that's very dangerous, okay? So when he gets in videos, oh, this basketball player, I mean, he said it in a video when he was doing the promo for that podcast that he did, and people thought it was this woman's husband because she tweeted him and said, please stop talking about my husband. And he went off on her and was like, F you, B. He was like, you don't know my life. You know, it's like, okay, so you let this woman think that it possibly could be her husband. She could have filed for divorce. She could have left her husband. You know, he could have done harm to himself. And you don't care because it's all marketing for you. I do not believe that many people are dipping in to Jeffree Star's DMs, okay? When there are literally millions of people online that have no social media following whatsoever, that nobody is going to out them, that if you wanted to dip in, okay, because he says in this TikTok that I was watching about they're always dipping into trans girls, things, and DMs and whatever. And so I'm like, well, first of all, well, that's a whole other story, okay? That he puts himself in the same category, okay? But he's talking about all this, and I'm like, well, first of all, if somebody really were on the DL, I've known people that were on the DL, okay? I mean, I came out in 1990. It was a difficult time to be out and be gay, okay? I knew people that were on the DL. I just talked about this in my vlog the other day. Whether because out of fear of losing their job or losing their families, even people that weren't married and had kids, which I have friends like that. But that ultimately ended up coming out, right? But I had a lot of people that were like, if they came out to their families would disown them. So they were on the DL, right? And so, you know, this whole mentality is if somebody were on the DL, they wouldn't be reaching out to somebody that's going to get in a TikTok and shout it from the mountaintops. They don't know that Jeffree Star's not going to get in a TikTok. And people will be like, NDAs. He don't give a fuck about an NDA. That he's going to get in a TikTok and be like, yeah, this NBA player from Minnesota or something. I'm just making that up. But then they're going to all be like trying to guess who it is. He's done it before. If you really were on the DL as a rapper and whatever, you wouldn't be going to somebody like Jeffree Star who's sitting in podcasts saying, oh, I have the tape of James Charles. Oh, I effed this NBA player. Oh, I effed this rapper. You wouldn't be saying that. He's got loose lips. Loose lips sink ships. If you are on the DL, you don't want your ship to be sank. So you're not going to talk about that shit. This is what we don't talk about. People are like, oh, who did he sleep with? He didn't sleep with nobody, baby. Ain't nobody dipping into his DMs. Nobody famous, like he acts like they are. Because if you were famous and you really wanted to keep it on the DL, the last person you would go to is somebody that is that media, that if you did them wrong, they're going to get in a video and talk about it. You would not do that. There's enough people that dip in their DMs that are never going to be problematic for you, okay? Why would you dip into Jeffree Star's? He acts like, and that feeds his confidence of, I am so, like, every straight DL man wants me so bad that they are dipping into my DLs. Okay, so that's what it's about, right? That you are so irresistible that so many people are dipping into your DLs. Okay, girl. I mean, all right. But do I think about Nathan and Jeffree? I think it started off contractually. I think they talked to each other. I think they probably flirted with each other. I think Jeffree flew him out there and was like, you know what? This would probably be cute. You know, I think Jeffree probably, you know, did a little, you know, with them. And I think he thought, okay, well, we can make this story last. You know, let's do it. Let's do a video together, see how the people respond. I think it went longer. I think Nathan ended up moving out there, became part of the business. I think Jeffree thought this might turn into something long-term. I think they had some feelings towards each other. And then I think that Nathan was really, in the long run, this is the thing, okay? You can sit there and you can talk about doing this with the people in the DL and all this kind of stuff, okay? But listen, if somebody ain't out and gay, they ain't gonna move in with you and be your husband. They just aren't, okay? And if you're looking for that, and that person is never committed to that, then they're going to end up going and sleeping with somebody else or going to go find out what they really want, okay? And I think that that's what happened. And that one piece does break my heart for Jeffree Star. There are a lot of people online, not just on YouTube, but on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, okay? That fake relationships, keep relationships going. When I talk to Trisha Paytas, I talk a lot about Daniel Prada and Joey Graceffa. Trisha, all these people that I talked to back in the day, they all hinted at many relationships that were fake, okay? Other things that were fake. We now see all this coming out where people are faking all this kind of stuff. I saw this, you know, watch that Micah Stauffer documentary, and she's faking all this kind of stuff to make it appear a certain way. I mean, it's just, so it's crazy to me that people believe a lot in this stuff, but there's a lot of fake relationships out there. I think with Jeffree, and maybe with Joey and Daniel too. I don't know, you know. Maybe they really did all fall in love with each other. And I think it started very contractually. And I think it was like, hey, be my boyfriend in this video that I'm going to do where I come out as this fairy prince. And then we'll be together and you're my boyfriend. Then I think over time they kind of love each other and they fall in love. They become friends. I think that's natural. I think that's natural in a work environment. I think that's natural with friend groups. So that's what I think. That's what I think. Okay. Woo! This is getting into heated stuff. Okay. Let's get another one, another heated one, shall we? What do I think about the Loie Lane, Andrew TMI, Haley Reese falling out? I think it's so interesting that you asked me that because I don't think, are they even on people's radars? It's funny too because I just last night watched an Andrew TMI video where he was unpackaging his PR. I think it's from like 5 days ago. So I don't know Haley Reese very well. I think I may have talked to her like once or twice. I think she does like a lot of paranormal stuff. So if you guys don't know, Loie Lane, Haley Reese, and Andrew TMI used to do a lot of paranormal videos together, okay? I don't really know a lot about their falling out. They've each kind of hinted at things, but I will say this about, well, I haven't talked to Haley Reese about it. I don't even know that I've talked to Loie about it. I think Andrew's the only one that I've talked to. First of all, I will say this. And like I said, I don't know Haley. I think I've talked to Haley a couple times, but maybe through DMs or something like that. I don't think I never talked to her, but I think maybe on DMs, I'd have to look and see. Maybe once, maybe not. Maybe I haven't talked to her at all. Maybe just tweeted her or something back in the day. Loie Lane is one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my entire life. One of the most genuine, down-to-earth, very real people, okay? I mean, like, she is very real. When I met with her, you know, I've joked about how she would do these jump cuts when we were filming, but like after that, I mean, she was so welcoming to me and my husband. She had this roommate at the time that was like name dropping people like this. She's like, oh, I hang out with David Dobrik and I hang out with this. And Loie just was like so unbothered. She could care less. There is such a part, I haven't watched Loie's videos in a long time, but like what I talked to Loie about there was like where she grew up. And her brother, because her brother was there, and her family, and grief. And she was very, very real. She was wonderful to me. Loie was very, very sweet. Andrew, so when I was there, I knew Andrew a little bit. I'd seen some of his videos. I knew they had done videos together. Loie said, you and Alex, me and Andrew, and his boyfriend should all go and stay at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. I was like, okay, arrange that. That would be fun. She was like, we'll do paranormal videos together. I was like, oh, that's fun. I'm down to do that. The Stanley Hotel from The Shining. So that never happened because after we left, Andrew and Loey had a falling out. I don't really know much about it, if you want to know the truth. I think he addressed it in a video, and I watched it, and I've kind of forgotten what it was about. So I did notice that on his podcast recently, and I haven't watched these videos, but he said something about texting. I didn't watch it, but he says texting. So Andrew, and I love Andrew, but you want to talk about clickbait titles. Okay, so he said something, because like his newest video is something like falling out with my friend Samantha Joe, who used to be in the podcast. I knew that they didn't fall out. I like went to the first comment, and the comment was Samantha Joe saying I can't get rid of him. So I was like, Andrew's old school YouTube. He really is, you know? And I kind of live for that. But anyway, but he did a video talking about texting. Like I texted Loey Lane and it didn't go well. And another one was like my fallout with Haley Reese. I didn't watch them, so I don't know. Andrew is one of the nicest guys I have ever met in my entire life. One of the nicest people. I think from a very young age, it was kind of his dream to be like this influencer and all that kind of stuff. And he's worked very, very hard at what he does. I know he doesn't just make videos. He works within the industry a lot and stuff like that too. That's his, I think he has shared it, that he edits videos for people and stuff like that. He's really a nice guy. He's one of the most genuine people that I've ever met and doing. I mean, I've met a lot. I say that, you know, with people, but there's so many people that I've met that are just phony as shit. And he's just definitely not one of those people. He's just a really, really nice guy. And so I don't know what I think about that. I think it makes me sad. I think that they were really, really close friends. I don't really know what I think about that. It makes me sad for them. So that's what I think about that. Oh my God, a lot of people ask me about Delphi. People were asking me about Delphi. What's the stance in Indiana about Delphi? Somebody asked me about Jaclyn Hill taking her nieces to an event with James Charles and the two girls fangirling over him. I mean, does it surprise me? No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I got sent this actually in DMs by a lot of people, that Jaclyn took her two nieces. I think her nieces are they're like 19 and 20 now, or maybe 20. I don't know how old they are. But she took them to a James Charles event. Do I think it surprises me? No. I think that Jaclyn Hill would be somebody. This is the thing. It's like when I talk about these people being predator protectors, like in person, they defend these people. Like, I don't know that you guys get this, but it's not just like they show up to their launches. Like when I talk to Manny on the phone, when I use the word predator protector, I don't know what word people want me to use. I've kind of stopped using that word so much, but they are straight up defenders. I mean, Manny said to me on the phone, if you knew James behind the scenes, you would not. I had talked to James quite a bit at that point. I had talked to him about early allegations that came in, and I said, James, there is nothing right about this. You need to address it. Oh my God, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so when I said to Manny, and he said, if you knew James behind the scene, you would know there's no truth to it. And I said, Manny, there's literally physical evidence of this, right? Like there's evidence. And he came out in this video and goes, if you knew him, you would know. I said, he got in a video and he apologized to his victims, Manny. If you knew James. So what that tells me is, he doesn't think that what James did, there was anything wrong with it. So do I think the same? I don't think Jaclyn thinks there's anything wrong with what James did. I think James has convinced them there's nothing wrong with what we did. Everybody does this, you know? So I think that's part of it. I think if there's 10 allegations against James Charles, and let's say 6 of them are about him hitting on straight guys, well, Manny's done the same thing. So why would Manny care, right? So now we're just down to those 4 allegations. And Jaclyn wouldn't care, and Laura wouldn't care, you know? And Daniel Prada, who's done the same thing, done always like alluding to hitting on straight guys, why would he care about those things? So now we're down to 4 things. One of which, one of the victims came out and apologized. Cosmopolitan made that really clear. So now we're victim blaming through Cosmopolitan. So now we're down to 3 victims, right? But there's so many more probably that James talked to that nobody even knows about because they've never come forward. Because why would you want to, you know? I mean, so nobody cares. Nobody believes these people. So it is what it is. I think it's disgusting that, that Jaclyn, I'll tell you this. You know, people ask me all the time, they're like, why, like, you talk about all this kind of stuff, but, like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, me talking about it in a video is doing something about it. I don't think this story is over yet with James Charles. And I'm not talking about, I think new stuff will come out. I'm just saying, I don't think this story's over. So, anyway, other questions that I got asked. Oh, people are asking me about, do I think that a cult killed Abby and Libby with the Delphi cases? What have you heard as a local? Okay. Well, I'm starting to get, a lot of people are asking me about Fox Hollow Farms too. So, I am sent literally daily, I can't even tell you how many, direct messages, emails from people with information, things like that. Family members have reached out to me. All that information I forward over to the authorities and the people that are in charge of all that stuff. So all of that I forward over. That case is so scary to me that I'm taking a little bit of a break from dealing with it. What I will tell you, my speculations, okay, I can't really get into all this, is that Fox Hollow Farms, the murders at Fox Hollow Farms go so much deeper than Herb Baumeister. And I'm not just talking about one other person. I'm talking about it goes much deeper than that. The Delphi case is something that was very similar that I heard, that it wasn't just a one-man person. And that it was a lot more than, it was a group of people. It was a group of people that had been doing this for a while. That was what everybody in Indiana kind of talks about. But ever since they caught this guy, and then, you know, he was convicted, it's like, a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, well, that must be the end of the story. I don't think it's the end of the story. I think it's actually a very similar case. You know, Indiana is small town mentality. It's small towns that live with secrets. I mean, for years and years and years, you're talking about police departments that are led by people whose grandfathers and great-grandfathers were on the police force, and that's why it's family traditions of farmers and people that are steeped in agriculture. It's people that are running small-town businesses that whisper to one person to another. It's where gossip comes across the counter at a diner getting coffee, okay? Or at the gas station pumping your gas on a Saturday night. You know, I mean, Indiana is well known for the trafficking of drugs, most profoundly methamphetamine, okay? We are two river towns, Chicago to the north, Louisville to the south, and so there's a lot of horrific cases that have happened in Indiana. Shanda Shear was one of them that happened in Madison, Indiana in 1990, I think 1992 is when it happened. And so there's been a lot of like horrific murders that have happened in Indiana. I can remember years ago, there were these kids that were being killed because their parents were putting drugs in their backpack and having them go from one county to the next, and I think it was in Scottsburg, Indiana. And so we have all these stories in Indiana that are very, very scary, that people have really, really, like, just kind of like, it's easier to forget about it and not talk about it because it's almost too scary, because you're living in the same town as the people that could be implicated in those things, right? It's not like you're sitting on your couch in Nevada and you're watching this. I mean, you're literally living, I mean, Indianapolis is a small city. You can get from the south side to the north side of Indianapolis in less than a half an hour. And that's with traffic. So you're talking about somebody that, you know, people are speculating about stuff. They could be on your doorstep in 5 minutes. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people. And I've talked to so many people involved in this case now that, I mean, I'm not really worried so much. They've all told me not to worry about my safety so much. So I'm not super worried about it. But like, my husband did put more cameras out in the house and things like that. So I don't know. Like, it's just, you know, it's scary. It's weird. You know, it's all of it very weird. Oh my God. Where am I at on time? Okay. But I do not believe that they've gotten everybody involved in Delphi, and that's kind of the common theme of what people believe. They also believe that there was a cover-up involved in it. Okay, Traitors Canada. I didn't even know there was a Traitors Canada. I didn't even know about that. The last RuPaul Drag Race episode, stealing the jokes and stage order. I didn't think the stage order was that big of a deal. So what they're talking about is the last episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, they did a villain's roast, and Jewel Sparkles was the one to put it in the order. They always get so bent out of shape about this order. Susie Toot said in there, it doesn't really matter where your order is. If you're going to fail, if you're going to flop, you're going to flop. If you're going to succeed, you're going to succeed. I think early seasons on, the order mattered. I don't think it does now. I think if you are going to succeed, you're going to succeed. But what happened was that this Arietti like stole the jokes from Jewel Sparkles because she was pissed about. I thought it was. I could not believe that it was not addressed on the main stage, and that RuPaul didn't kick her off instead of having her lip sync for life and have her eliminated. She should have looked at her and said, "You stole jokes from another contestant," which is basically like stealing a dress, stealing makeup, stealing anything else. Should have been cut off for it. She should have been RuPaul should have looked at her and said, "I'm eliminating you from the show. You stole somebody else's jokes." Like, I think it's actually, it's one of the most bizarre things. I mean, they made such a light deal of it on the show. I think it's a huge deal. I think it's an absolutely huge deal. When you think about people like Jinx Monsoon, and you think about, Bianca Del Rio, and other people that have gone on to have huge comedy careers off of them being on RuPaul's Drag Race, the stealing of somebody's jokes is actually kind of a big deal, you know? Okay, so I have so many more of these questions left. If you guys want me to answer more of them, I have influencer questions on here, all kinds of questions. Let me know in the comment section below, and I will do that video video in the next couple days. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.